Good morning, Ma.
Morning,
May we
sir.
get to know your name and how you're related with this project?
Okay, my name is Namba Michael. I am the project manager on Kimberly Clark Corporation funded project facilitated by WaterAid Nigeria.
Yeah, thank you very much. And how do you intend to carry on with this project? What's the project about? What's the title of the project, and how does it intend to be implemented? And what are the end results that you expect?
Okay, so the project generally is on improvement on sanitation and hygiene for vulnerable people in selected communities of Ikorodu North and Ojodu local council development area. Like I say, improvement because already people know about hygiene and sanitation. So what we want to do is to strengthen community systems, and our target is women, lactating mothers, pregnant mothers, community people, and also school pupils, especially girls and including the boys. For community, we want to talk about the dangers of open defecation, why people need to take the responsibility and handle the issues by themselves. You know that the federal government of Nigeria have declared the water sector as an emergency sector because Nigeria is the first country in the world that with a large number of people practicing open defecation. That is not a position that we want to be known for. So there are so many policy and guidelines and so many activities that have been put in place by the federal government that the state are adapting. One of the campaign is the Clean Nigeria, Use the Toilet campaign that state are adapting. And in Lagos State, the WaterAid Nigeria is supporting Lagos State to the Ministry of Environment to review their policy to capture some of these sanitation and hygiene activities that are very important. Remember, we can't talk about water without hygiene and sanitation. They are integrated. So in the healthcare centers, we are targeting women who will come for services like antenatal. Want to talk to them about the importance of hand washing at critical times, why they need to wash their hands. Research have shown that once hands are washed at critical moments, that's after using the toilet, after washing the baby's poo, before you eat and so on, will reduce the dangers of that comes with water and hygiene related diseases by 50%. And so in schools, want to talk to the children and the teachers around menstrual hygiene management. That's very important. It's part of hygiene management. It falls under the personal hygiene. We'll talk about to girls, the menstrual hygiene. Want to break the barriers of it's not shameful, it's part of growing up, and then it's not well taken care of, it brings diseases, it brings itching, it also leads to long time productive issue in the future. So want to tell them now how they can take care of themselves and want to establish health club where girls and also boys will have space to talk about menstrual hygiene. It will boost their confidence. You agree with me that if a girl is menstruating and there's no support from the boys, they are laughing at her and so on, she will not come to school. And if every month she will not come to school, there's tendency of dropping out. And so want to see how we can talk about that. And so yeah, I've talked about so the community people have talked about want to talk about dangers of open defecation, how the community will come together. We want to use the approach that is called community-led total sanitation, CLTS. And in CLTS, 99.9 is a field. Why? Because if everybody in a community has toilet and is using it, and one person does not have, the community is not safe. Why? Because that excreta that the person is have defecated outside, flies, animal Instead, we'll take it back to the community. And so it's very important for community members to gather and take the decision together. Research have shown that 1 gram, a gram of excreta carries 10,000 virus. That same gram carries 1,000 bacteria. That same gram carried 1,000 parasite seeds. That same gram carried 100 parasite egg. So just a gram. So you can imagine a heap of excreta here, what it can do. Like I said, it can get dry, wind will blow in, it goes to our water, it goes to the community, it goes back to us, and it makes us sick, and so on. So this project is supporting Lagos State government to key into the federal government campaign and also support vulnerable, like we say, vulnerable, looking at people who hardly have access to this facility. This project will construct and renovate some facilities in schools and in the health centers. It will also produce some materials, both educational materials and usable materials for women in the PAC and for girls in school. And so this project is also going to strengthen institutions that are in charge of this, like the Ministry of Education. We're going to work with them, or we're working with them. Primary health care, we're working with CSO and media people like you want to come together to see how we can make this a reality. Everything is an action point. We want to leave the era of just say or do one thing today, do a workshop and wait. No, want to take actions. After this training, want to have we'll develop a work plan with you people and agree on how we are going to implement this and come every, depending on what we agree, monthly, quarterly, or yearly to review this work plan and see how far we are.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we've had 2 days of program here on this workshop.
Yes.
What's your overview of the 2 days?
Okay, so I'm glad the Kimberly Clark project that is facilitated by WaterAid thought that everybody should be on board. So this 2 day workshop is advocacy and communication plan. We want to develop a plan I mentioned earlier with you, the media, and the CSO. And what is it all about? We're talking about advocacy. We want to see, like the LIWAC just finished of recent, there are some action points that have been taken. We want to see how you media can take this forward, advocate to the government to take action. Want to see how the CSO can also come in and support and advocate to the government. And we are doing, as we are implementing this project, of course, there are best practices. Want to see a situation whereby media, you go to these communities, vulnerable communities we're talking about, see what is happening, come back later, see how they are improving, make, write about it and tell the government what is happening so that at the end of the day, Lagos State can replicate what WaterAid and the Kimberly Clark project are doing in the other LCD. Remember, this is not like a pilot. It's only in 2 local governments we're working. And even the 2 local governments, not all the local, on the corners that we're working. So the plan is to do, to do something that is yes, so it's a pilot project and government is expected to replicate it. So at the end of this project, like I said, today hopefully we will have a final work plan that the CSO and the media will work on.
So lastly, I'd like you to shed light on why Lagos for the pilot project. Why Lagos? Lagos is seen to be center of excellence, urban. They will still have some rural areas. So why not maybe some hinterland?
Okay, thank you so much. Lagos is large. The population in Lagos is large. And so Lagos is a very good environment to market water sanitation and hygiene activities because of the population. You agree with me that we might have some facilities like public toilets and so on, but it's not enough. People are still defecating outside. Some are behavioral change, some is lack of access. So I want to say the access is not enough. what can the government of Lagos do based on population to ensure that everybody have access and is also using it. So they're in Lagos because, first of all, because of the population, Lagos is huge, and issue around water and sanitation, issues that should be. They are actually basic needs for everybody. So we want to push to say that if we are able to get the government of Lagos to see this, then in Nigeria and in Africa, I think it's something that can be replicated.
Yes, good afternoon, sir.
Good
May we
afternoon.
get to know your name and your relevance with this project?
My name is Kolawole Banwo. I am Head of Advocacy, Policy and Communications, WaterAid Nigeria. This project is one of the projects we're implementing in Lagos, and it has an advocacy component, so I came to support the team.
All right, welcome, sir. Yeah, as a mark for your involvement and support, what are you? What exactly is the role? Is your role at this event?
Well, the SHIP project, as we call it, the Kimberly Clark project, is supposed to support two local governments in Lagos State. It has two components. We're doing some service delivery where we're constructing hand washing facilities, and we're doing hygiene behavior change for lactating women, menstrual hygiene education for young girls. But the ultimate goal is that whatever we do within the 2 year of the project should be institutionalized so that the local government authorities can uptake it. We say you uptake, you upscale, and then you replicate, and then you institutionalize so that after the project, it becomes part of what they do. To achieve that, you need advocacy and communications. And so I have come to support the Lagos team with the partner organizations to develop the advocacy plan to make that happen. That's why I came.
All right. The advocacy plan that you said. What are those? Are they in stages, or it's a framework that's a continuity?
It's a framework that is it's a plan. If you want to undertake advocacy, you need a plan, and you need to be strategic. You need to identify what your issues are. You need to know who the stakeholders are. You need to have done your research to gather evidence. You need to frame your messaging, and then you need to engage consistently until you get results. So the plan is how you set out all of that, identifying what you want to do, who you need to work with, how you want to go about it. And you need to plan it in a strategic way and put a timeline to it because the project itself has a timeline. So if you don't plan, you will not be able to allocate resources efficiently and devote your time in a very productive way. So normally we encourage that advocacy is a very professional thing. You need to have a plan and it's working through that plan so that you can monitor your progress and evaluate and then learn from the process. Either to loop back into the same advocacy engagement or to use in future advocacy engagement. So it is a plan and we will try to work it out. We could have stayed in Abuja and developed the plan. But if the people in Lagos who will run with the plan, who know the terrain, who know the context, who know the people are excluded, then whatever you have will just be hanging in the air. So we thought it's good that we come and gather them together and facilitate the process where we jointly, we call it the process of co-creation. We co-create the plan together. They can have ownership of it, already see their role in it, so that even when we're not here, they can run with it. We can give remote support from afar, but they're on ground, the boots on ground that will make things happen.
Yes, that's it.
Sir, the project seems to have a long line of activities. So are you going to be using volunteers in terms of geologists and the likes? Well, the project is a straightforward one. The facilities we are supporting are basically sanitation facilities. We're not doing water projects. It's when you want to do water projects, you need boreholes, that you need to do your physical studies, you need geologists and all. What we are doing basically with the local governments, and we have identified in primary healthcare centers, public places like markets and parks, and some schools, we want to enhance the sanitation facility, basically. We call it the toilets. And then hand washing facilities where people can wash their hands to be hygiene. So those are not things you need geologists for. But what we normally do as an organization for system strengthening is that we still need to procure consultants and contractors that will do those things. We work with the local government to do that because they're on ground, they know who the people are. And we also think that it's also a way of ensuring that resources flow into the community. If you have local people who can build those things,
You don't need to bring people from outside. So working with the local government authorities, we identify the right contractors who are able to do it. Some of the facilities we are building are fresh. Some we are only enhancing. But one of the things we agree with the communities is that there must be water first. You don't put a toilet where there's no water. And you don't put a hand washing facility where there's no water. Also, you don't want to do something that the water dries up after you have gone. So there has to be an ongoing availability of water so that when you put the facility there, it is sustainable because there's sustainable water supply. So we are working with CSO partners and we are working with the local government authority themselves, the gatekeepers, the chairman and all. Together, we form what we call an implementation team. That implementation team is the one that drives the project, and it involves mainly key agencies and key officials from the government, local government, working with some of our team. They will decide all of that. We don't come prescribing how things should be done. We work with them to co-create how it should be done so that, again, they can own it and see it as their project and not see it as a WaterAid project.
Okay, and with the government's involvement, you are you are doing the project for the people, but it's going to be through the government, through the policymakers. How are you? Have you factored in bureaucracy, politics, how to maneuver? Have you,
Yes, for advocacy and project delivery, we have what we call our entry point. Okay, the way we enter is very important. So from the very beginning, we came to plan with them. We're not doing it for them. We're doing it with them. So in selecting the local governments, we work with the relevant Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, and we opened it up for all the local governments. We didn't choose the local governments unilaterally. There was a process by which the Ojodu local government and the Ikorodu emerged, one in the urban and the other in the peri-urban. I think, okay, peri-urban and rural, or whichever one, based on certain criteria. They emerged from that. From the onset, we started working with the chairman and the authorities and the relevant staff to also identify which facilities. We went to assess all the facilities with the local government, working with them and getting the people involved to select which of the ones will benefit. So once you do it that way, and once they realize that this is donor fund, it is time bound. If you don't use the resources at a particular time, the opportunity is lost. Everybody sits up. They leave politics and bureaucracy aside, and everybody consider the interest of the people. Once they understand it that way, they're able to work, leave politics and other sentiments apart, and just ensure that the result is done. Our duty is to make sure that is done, and then when we hand it over, they take it up and continue to run with it. So we're not afraid of that because we have entered properly and engaged right from the beginning to make them know that it is not a WaterAid project, it's your project for your people. We're only supporting, and we happen to have the resources from Kimberly Clark to support that process.
Good morning, sir. May we get to know your name and how you're related to this project?
Okay, my name is Wale Elekobusi. I'm the national coordinator for Wash Media Network. Wash Media Network is water, sanitation, and hygiene network of journalists in Nigeria.
Thank you very much. And in the process of implementation, what is your target at the end of the project? What do you expect to have achieved? And how do you want to come about achieving those intentions?
Yes, so basically what we want to do is to see how we can upgrade the knowledge base of journalists in the area of water and sanitation in Lagos State in order to be able to apply it in their daily reporting to bring access to quality water and sanitation in Nigeria, particularly in Lagos State, and also to develop advocate media executives and reporters in the state for them to be able to stand for the less privileged and the people who are vulnerable and who are not able to speak out their mind in terms of access to water, sanitation, and hygiene.
so, what's your overview of the 2 days?
Okay, the
The
2 days.
response and
Okay, the program has been very, very encouraging in terms of the training that has come up with the informations that have been divulged in the program, particularly in respect to advocacy, how CSOs are expected to carry out advocacy and what they're expected to do. The WaterAid has been able to bring to limelight what is expected of CSOs and journalists in respect to this program of Kimberly Clark, making us to experience what they expect from us and what they want us to achieve, looking at the affairs of the people in Lagos State and the challenges they are facing in terms of availability of water and sanitation.
What's our take home message from this workshop?
Well, the take home message will be that water and access to water and sanitation should be everybody opportunity, should be open to everyone. No one should be excluded, and all hands should be on deck. The media, the CSOs, the NGOs in Lagos State should be ready to make sure that this is available for us. Water and sanitation and hygiene are available for everyone in Lagos State.
Good morning, sir. May I get to know your name and how you're relevant to this project?
Well, my name is Adenigba Henry Oluwarotimi. I am the Executive Director, Humanity Family Foundation for Peace and Development. And also, I double as the State Coordinator for NISAN. NISAN is Society for Water and Sanitation in Nigeria, Lagos State Chapter.
Yeah, it's interesting to realize that your NGO is a major indigenous one involved in this project. Is it about meritorious activity or is it about relationships with international donor agencies and actors?
It is not, you don't just get involved in things like this if you don't have a track record. The track record that we have actually went ahead of us. Like I said, in the whole of Lagos State, I happen to be the coordinator of NISAN. NISAN is network of organizations working on water and sanitation in Nigeria. It's a national association of organizations working in this area. And before you could be a coordinator, it is not as if it is a one-day thing. So they have to see your pedigree and know how much work you have done in this area. So that is what brought us in here. We have been working on water and sanitation since 2003 that the organization was established. And it is on this premise that we became the coordinator. And apart from that, this project was given to us because it was after assessment of several organizations, of about 20 organizations who were assessed, and they found us worthy and they fit for the project. That is why we are on Kimberly Clark project.
Okay. Precisely, how do you intend, or how are you detailed to mediate in this project between the resource poor persons of Lagos State and the actual organizers of the project?
Yeah, the actual organizers of the project, that is WaterAid, and Kimberly Clark is the founder. And we are actually working in collaboration or in partnership with Ministry of Water Resources and Sanitation. So what we are actually doing is to make sure that at least we take the CSO aspect of the project and see that everything that is being done on this particular project is actually carried out through using our own technical know-how and using also the pedigree that we already had in this area. So we are like one watchdog to make sure that everything that was said actually works out, and to also monitor and evaluate every step of the project. And apart from that, we are also implementing. So it is about three in one thing.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And then apart from this project in the area of water, what other projects are you handling at the moment? Or this is the major one you're handling now?
No, we actually just handled the Action Aid Water project in Weshire. That is a very hard to reach area. In which Weshire is in Badagry local government, and it is a very, very, very hard to reach area. We found out that in Weshire there hadn't been water potable water for them to drink, and that has actually caused a lot of waterborne diseases in that community. And what they have been doing was to bore holes, to give them boreholes and then to give water. Rotary will make Rotary's presence there, but the terrain does not allow for good water because it's very close to the ocean, and so the table water, the water table around there is so high. The ocean table water there is very high, and so there's no way they could get good potable water in that place, even no matter how many boreholes that were dug. But we now found out that we had to bring water from another community. So we went into Cancun community where there is a mini water project going on, water works there. So we had to draw water from that particular community down to Uweshere, which is about 2 kilometers. So we got water into Uweshere, and people are very happy for that now. So that is one of the major water projects that we have funded.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Mr. Henry Adeniba.
Thank
God
you,
bless
my
you.
brother. God
All
bless
right.
you.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.